everybody. Thank you so much for coming out, supporting live music. We really appreciate that. And those of you who paid for this church auction, we appreciate that. This is a concert that Misha and I put together because we like each other's music. So Misha has played at church for almost a year, maybe about a year. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to hear him. And those of you that come to East Shore regularly, he really he's a Persian musician. He's very erudite. He plays a lot of different styles. And I'm a jazzer, and I play a lot of different styles. So we thought, what would happen if we melded them together? And so you get to hear the fruits of that idea tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about and play improvisation. And improvisation in music is maybe not well understood, so we're going to try and give you some idea about how it takes place. Because it seems like magic when we do it, right? What are we doing? You know, we're making this music. How are we doing that, right? And improvisation in music is not as wild as it might sound. It's really based on some musical conventions that everybody agrees on, sort of a song and we agree on what we're going to play and how we're going to play it. And then within that we have all kinds of freedom to express ourselves. So the trick is to try and make something where 1 + 1 = 3, where we're doing something together that really creates something new and unusual. So one key to improvisation is knowing how to play something that we can play together that sounds good with us playing it together. And so what we're going to be sharing tonight is based on a common scale that is used all over the world. Or, starting on the minor, exploring that in a lot of different guises. We're going to be trying different cultures. We are not attempting to be authentic tonight. I'll give you that right off the bat. We're going to just have some fun playing what we know the way we like to play it, but in a lot of different cultural contexts. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So our first foray is going to be start with rhythmic music that originated in Africa. And Africa is the home of great rhythmic music, and also the pentatonic scale, the scale that I just talked about, the 5-note pentatonic scale, is an important element of that music, but the rhythm is key. And of course, African music influences American music through jazz and blues and rock and roll and all those things we're going to cover off on as well. But we're going to start with something that's a little more just rhythmically based, and it's called Afro Blue, and it's a jazz tune. But we're going to play it rhythmically, focus on rhythm. And so my improvisation has to be about rhythm so that it fits with what Misha's doing on his congas. So here is Afro Blue. talk a little bit about the blues itself. Yeah, thank you. I don't think I'm in that big of a room. So now let's talk about the blues a little bit. So African music came up through New Orleans and then also, of course, across the Atlantic through the slave trade. And as many people know, the blues came out of African experience in America through work songs and spirituals and other cultural facts of life for African American people. And it really is at the root of American indigenous music. In other words, like blues, rock and roll, country music actually comes out of that, some of that. There's all kinds of rock and roll. There's all kinds of music that comes out of blues. So let's just start with the root of American music, the basic blues. And the basic blues is about telling a story. So has anybody got a story, something they got the blues about right now? Anybody got the blues? I think we do. Give me something.
Trump administration.
Yeah, Trump administration. Yeah, there it is. All right, so I kind of knew that was coming. So I'm going to make up some lyrics. Wish me luck. And I've not made up any. I'm going to improvise these. So, all right. Okay. So you ready? thine own self be true. I don't think you know what that's about. Everything's a lie. How can you be so kind when everything's just about you? Well, we know just what to do. No more trumping. I think we've had about enough. All that crap. All that crappy kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about. You're up against American people. Well, we don't think you're so damn tough. Any of you who try to make up a song, the trick is that you say something and you got to figure out what happens next. That's the trick. And this is like improvisation, really. Think about it. You got to be able to think on your feet. So you have to have control of what you're doing, but you got to be open to what the other person's doing. Like he was playing some Persian blues there, man. It was down home in Tehran blues. So that was killing. So now we're going to take a little detour to Europe for a minute and explore the other side of music that came into America. Generally, I'm making a broad statement. We're going to go and improvise to something in the Baroque musical style. So this is not what came to America per se. Folk songs and all kinds of ethnic music from Western Europe came into America. But it all basically is based not on the pentatonic scale. It's based on the diatonic scale, which is. You guys have all heard that, right? You guys have done exercises as piano students when you're kids. That is called diatonic or scalar music, and it has harmony with it. Which really, the blues is really just was a scale and kind of a mode of thinking. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to what could we play that would be sort of European and Baroque. Now in the Baroque era, people may not realize that people improvised a lot in the Baroque era. The keyboard player in Bach and Handel's time didn't have a score. They just had these little notations, like little progressions of chords they could play. It was completely up to them what to play. So I thought that'd be a good fuel for improvisation to try and play a little bit, maybe not in that style exactly, but play that kind of music. So we're going to play the national anthem of weddings, which is Pachelbel's Canon. That's right. So here we go. Pachelbel's Canon. Ready? Okay. performing musician for a living, and this gal said, okay, we want you to play for the cocktail reception. I said, what do you want me to play? She said, Pachelbel's Canon, like for the whole reception. I'm like, okay, half an hour of that, right? I mean, I used to do all kinds of, and no one was listening, right? They're all busy, so that's an homage to that event. Why did we do that? Well, we did that, to kind of just have some fun with something a little bit different. You could hear the difference, you know, and you'll hear the pentatonic scales coming back. But then, now, in a broad sense, European music came into America, obviously, and then the rhythm of jazz and the pentatonic scale, the blues, it infused that music. And you got the jazz that started to happen with, started in New Orleans with music that was indigenous to New Orleans, but then it moved up to Chicago and New York and all these places where there was, tonal music, music that people knew, and it sort of melded together. It became jazz. And by the 1940s, it was the pop music of the world. People don't remember that Duke Ellington was like the #1 hit guy. Like he had these big hits, and then of course in the war years, the big bands came up, the Count Basie and Woody Herman, and then Glenn Miller was a big guy. One of his big hits was the blues, and it's called In the Mood. And so we're going to play that. And I'm going to play it boogie woogie style. I played that when I was a teenager. My mother it was a saint. She went to her grave humming that. I played that so much. That's how I learned. So that'll be fun to play. So then it's got, the boogie woogie style uses these licks. So a little bit of that in there. So that's part of the improvisation, right? Is I got to make that style happen. And he's going to make his style happen, and we hope you're in the mood for it. big hit. Okay, so now, what happened after that in jazz in the 40s, aside from the big band music, was jazz moved into the urban areas like the cities and became more reflective of the bustle and the complexity and the richness of the cities, and the musicians began to become more educated and harmonically complex about how they did music. And there are these great musicians named Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie who made up this new music called bebop. And it was more chromatic, so instead of playing, you play. And all kinds of chords that go along with it. So I'm going to play a little bit of bebop, which is the thing that got me, went viral in my head. It caused me to get 2 degrees in music, was bebop. I'm still stunned about it. I'm still chasing Charlie Parker. That's what I would say. We all are, those of us that like this sound. So bebop is reminiscent of the sound of the music. Bebop. It's a percussive music. So I'm going to play 2 bebop tunes together. One's called Bud's Blues for Bud Powell, the great bebop pianist. The other one's called Billy's Bounce by Charlie Parker. So. Thank you very much. The next piece is a kind of interesting one. We're going to play something where the composer, Miles Davis, was trying to innovate, and he decided to try and do something that was sort of a mix of the blues style of jazz and not necessarily classical, but major modal sounds. So modes are just sounds that come from a scale. So it's like, it doesn't sound like the blues. So you got to meld those together. So the challenge for us as improvisers is melding that sort of majory sound and that with a little bit of blues touch to it. And this is a very famous album he composed called Kind of Blue, which changed the way jazz sounded for everybody forever in 1958. And so this is called All Blues. I'll do a little intro to sort of introduce the modes, and then we'll get into the lick. kind of a gentle thing. And we didn't think that we could rightfully do American improvisation based on pentatonic scales without doing something rock and roll. So, rock and roll uses the pentatonic scale all the time. Like the guitarists in rock and roll, that's what they learn. Right, so you get the idea. So I'm not really a very good rock guitar player, but I can imitate one on TV. So we're going to play kind of a fun tune. Well, let me get it up here for you. We're going to play another one, Bites the Dust. And just again, not trying to be authentic. We're not going to sing it. We're just going to play it. And as Miles Davis said, we're going to play it and tell you what it is later. Thank you.